Hi everyone, this is the National Master Asano Santagati. It's the video number 4 about the Goring Series, and in the last videos we focused attention about the variation with knight exc3 and or bishop b4 or bishop b4 or d6. Today we'll focus attention about uncommon move that black can do. So for example, knight c5 followed by knight g7 and the move h6. Okay, we started with bishop c5. Okay, in theory this move is logical because the black developed the piece on c5. This square seems active for the bishop, so it seems okay. Okay, the white can play easily with bishop c4, and now the black can do knight e7. After knight e7, now the white has to play knight g5 to attack immediately f7. After knight g5, I think the black must play d5. In theory is playable knight d5, but it's completely wrong castle. Because if castle, the white wins immediately with queen h5. The white threatens the mate on h7, and the white is attacking f7. So if h6, knight f7, and the black has to give the rook. So bishop takes f7, and now the white has a very strong advantage in this position. So castle is an important mistake for black. We can see what happens if knight e5. If knight e5, we can play knight takes f7. And if knight takes f7, we can take it, and after that queen h5 is checked, and we can retake the bishop on c5. In theory, when we play knight takes f7, probably the best move is bishop takes f2, because if the black know that the black will lose the bishop, can take the pawn f, king takes, and now knight f7 for example, and now we can play rook f1, king g1 and attack with the queen h5 ladder. So the white position seems good. If now rook f8, we can simply play king g1. So after queen h5, the white has a very strong position. Okay, so it's not a problem. If knight e5, if knight e5, we have knight f7 very strong. Probably the best move is d5. The black has to play d5, and in this case we can simply take the pawn, and the black has to play knight e5, because if knight a5, now we can simply play queen a4. c6 is forced to defend the knight on a5, and now we can play d6, because now we can attack the knight and we can attack f7. So now the position is very strong. So the black has to play knight e5, and now it's very nice castle. Yes, I know the bishop is without a defender, but if knight takes, we have queen a4, and we can retake the piece. We can attack the bishop. To do an example, if bishop d7, we take, and now it's important to play bishop d6, because if bishop b6, the white is winning with d6. I can attack the knight and I can attack f7. So this move is good for white. So bishop d6 is forced, and now we can play bishop f4. Because the idea is make pressure is against f7, is against c7. So if this, I take and I can attack f7, and then I can attack c7. So the white has a good position. For example, castle. And now the idea rook c1. We make pressure against it. Okay, and the white I think is good at this time, because we have a position with the same material, 6 pawns against 6 pawns, but now the white has a good activity with the pieces, so the white I think is a little better. Okay, so we can go back. So we know that if okay, after d5 we can simply take and we can castle without problem, so we can retake the pawn with a good position in this case. Okay, so this if knight e7, we can play knight g5. If the black play h6, what happened? h6 is a common move, especially for beginners, because usually the beginner try to defend also. For beginner can be interesting defend the square g5, so h6 can be common, and I play bishop c4. The black has to play d6 to avoid d5, and now we can play castle, knight f6, and now we can play queen b3. And now queen b3 is nice because we attack with 2 pieces the pawn f7, and the only move to defend the pawn is move the queen, so or queen d7 or queen e7. I prefer queen d7 because in theory in the future can allow bishop e7 and castle. Okay, now we can try to make pressure with the rook e1 or with the queen c2. Now I prefer queen c2 because if rook e1 there is knight a5 and the black can remove the light bishop. This bishop is important in this kind of position to attack, so I prefer now play simply queen c2. The idea is easy: play rook d1 and then e5. So for example, if bishop e7, I play rook d1, and if castle, I play e5. So now I have a good pressure, and if knight g4, I play bishop f4. My idea would be make pressure against the pawn d6. And it's not easy to find a good move now for black, because for example, if rook d8 to defend the pawn, I can simply play h3, and now the knight is trapped. So probably the black is forced to play queen f5 immediately. Now I can take, bishop take, I take the pawn, and I can simply retake the pawn. For example, bishop takes, pawn takes, and or knight b5 or rook take d6. And now the position is okay. Probably the white is slightly better after the opening, because it's slightly better about the pieces activity. Okay. So it's interesting to see that after h6 is important play queen b3. So castle, knight f6, queen b3. Queen b3 is important, is to attack f7, but is to weaken the enemy queen position, because after queen b3 the black has to play queen d7, and now the white can take the square c2 that is useful for the queen, and after that the idea will be make pressure with rook d1. It's interesting to see that in this position knight d5 is impossible, because if knight d5 we can go back with the bishop. So in theory it's possible, but it's not so good for black, because we can simply go back with the bishop, and if now bishop e7 we can take on e5, and after that rook d1 is very strong, because now the black has no good squares for the queen, and if queen e6 for example, we can play knight b5, and these are defended square 6-7 now. Probably the only way is bishop d8, but now we can sacrifice the exchange and queen takes e7, and now the white is very strong. Okay, so this is important. Also focus attention about this idea. So knight e5, bishop e2. Yes, maybe the black can trade on f3, but in this case I take, and if bishop e7, I can play always the move rook d1, that is useful because after the castle I can push e5 and I can make pressure against d6. So when the black move h6, my strategy would be make pressure against d6. When the black play bishop c5 followed by knight d7, my idea would be make pressure against f7. So it's very important to understand better the opening. Okay, thank you for watching this video, and if you like it, share it with your friends.